Story 1 by Nicole Bertrand. My scariest incident isn't anything paranormal or anything, but it's something I will never forget and scared the shit out of me. When I was about 11 or 12, I went to my cousin's house for her birthday to spend the night. Me and my cousin are the same age, being only 3 days older than her. She had about 6 of her friends stay over also. We decided in the middle of the night to sneak out and ring people's doorbells and run. We didn't end up doing that, but we did sneak out of the house. We just went down the street to the park and was hiding underneath the playground equipment, trying not to be seen. After a few minutes, we noticed a group of teenagers by a car across the street where we were. They had a bat and was beating up something or someone we couldn't see. Well, either way, we got scared and made a run for it. Right when we did, I heard one of the teenagers very clearly say, "Oh shit," and then heard a car door slam and the car start. The 8 of us fled and ran as fast as we could, never looking back until we were safe in the house. We didn't sleep too well that night, sat up all night talking about what had happened. I will never forget that night. Story 2 by Boily Andon. Hello, I love your YouTube videos, and if you do any more about creepy people, I have one for you. I grew up in a small town in the state of Maine, and I was trusted to walk around town by myself at the young age of 11. So this day was a hot summer's day. I was walking down the road to the store to get a few snacks, and I saw a blue pickup truck go by me twice on the way to the store. After being in the store for like 10 minutes, I paid for my snacks and started my way back to my house. That's when I saw the same truck go by me again. I kept walking, and being a young preteen who watches a lot of cops and murder shows, I was thinking of just getting home. But what I had in the back of my mind came true. The man in the blue truck stopped right next to me. I was scared and I knew what to do. He asked me, "Do you need a ride, little girl?" I looked at him and said, "No, I live right in the house down there, and my parents are right outside waiting for me, so no thank you." He drove off after I said that, and I ran all the way home after he drove off. The truck went by me one more time before I got home, and when I got home, I told my parents what happened. And as I did, the man in the blue pickup truck went by once again. I pointed at the truck that went by, but my father couldn't get the license plate number. I wasn't able to walk by myself for the rest of the year after that, and I don't blame my father and mother to do that, cause I'm their only child, and they didn't want to get a call from the cops saying that they found me dead or not ever seeing me again. Story 3 by Donna Stevens. When I was a 13-year-old girl, my friends convinced me to go to their church for a summer camp that was set up every year. We were having fun playing games and chatting when the preacher came over to introduce himself to me. I have always been an intelligent and precocious child, so when he and I started talking about God and theology, I was able to hold my own and even ask questions that either confused or dismayed this man of God. He asked me if I would stay to help him sermon. I declined, saying that I needed to return home. He said that I could come back any time that I wanted. I still declined because Before my father died when I was 6, he warned me to be careful of certain men, including men in the church. I live in a neighborhood that was a couple of miles away. But a week or so later, the preacher pulled alongside me as I was walking near my apartment. He asked if I wanted to get in and go to help him with his sermon. I said no, and he asked if I needed a ride home. I said no because he was looking at me in an unpraising, hungry, and lustful way that I had seen so many times in another person's eyes. I ended the conversation and walked home, looking over my shoulder and all around to make for certain that I wasn't followed. As the weeks went by, my friends and I saw him many times. He would ask us personal, intimate, and often quite disturbing questions pertaining to me. We were all very unsettled by all his appearances, his questions, and the fact that he would follow me around my neighborhood in his truck. I began to stay in my house more and more to avoid him, but he had taken to driving past my apartment for hours on end, hoping to see me. I hadn't mentioned any of this to my mother because she was the type of woman who most men feared, because even though she was short and overweight, she was amazingly strong and could fight better than I had seen ever in even movies. She even fought in illegal underground fighting for money. I didn't want her to get arrested or accidentally kill the guy. My bedroom window had lacy curtains, so it was easy for me to see him doing this. Since I wasn't devious in my thinking, I didn't think of how others could use this against me. One day, I was preparing to go play in the woods with my friends and was changing in my room. I kept having an overwhelming feeling as though I were being watched, and could hear deep, ragged breathing outside my window. I hurried to pull my jeans on, and as I reached for my t-shirt, I heard loud shouts of pain and my mother bellowing in a threatening tone. I pulled my shirt over my head and ran out the front door. My mother was attacking the preacher and screaming threats and obscenities at the top of her lungs. One of the neighbors called the chief of police, and he was there in a couple of minutes. And the chief had been patrolling, and the preacher was arrested. My bedroom was at the front of the apartment duplex, facing the street and in full view of the street and neighbors. One of them had called my mother. The reason that she had been so crazy is because she saw a middle-aged man who was masturbating outside of her daughter's bedroom while she was changing. I made blackout curtains and put them up the next day. I have many more stories that are a lot worse. I started with a mild story. If you'd like to hear the more gory, scary, or even creepier stories, just let me know. Story 4 by Justice Pritchard. My new house is creepy. Once my 200-year-old china closet fell with my most important stuff in it. Mind you, this closet takes 2 men to carry and is up against a wall with the back facing the wall, and then it just randomly fell forwards. Then one time my closet opened itself. Then one time I had to shoot something that was in my house, but then it just went through it and it lunged at me. I woke up in the hospital 2 days later. They said I had a seizure. Things got weirder and weirder. I refused to stay home alone, and if they say no, I just walk to my sister's house. I always carry my pocket knife with me. One time, one of the freakiest things that happened was when there was a man in front of my front door knocking. I can see the porch in front of my door. He didn't look right, so I got my pistol. Mind you, I'm in a secluded area with the nearest neighbor 2 miles down the street. I got the pistol and asked who was at the door. I was getting kind of freaked out, so I asked again. I looked through the curtains next to the door and he was still there. After a while, I just told him to leave and he didn't, so I went to the back door, starting to go out before I got this cold chill down my spine. I looked through the back door peephole and he was there. I decided to tell the man if he didn't leave, I was going to shoot him. I heard a jiggle from the front door. I then thought, shit, there were 2 people. One got in and I shot him. They ran away. I never found out who they were because the police checked the blood that had dripped halfway through the house. They didn't find anything, so I just thought it was just some of the weird people that lived in the forest. Still haunts me to this day.